At this time, I would like to welcome everyone tonight and call to order the Monday, July 7th, 2025 Currituck County Board of Commissioners. And at this time, our invocation and pledge will be led by Pastor Vic Culberson, Church of New Beginnings. Please stand.
Would you all please join me?
Father, it's a humbling thing to be able to be here tonight, to stand in this room and to be gathered with people who are concerned about the things that are happening here in Currituck County. And we pray, Lord, that as we go through the business of the county tonight, that you would be glorified first and foremost, and that your will would be taken care of and handled in this place and in places beyond. Lord, we realize that we don't live in isolation, and our hearts and our thoughts and our prayers go to the people in Texas who are dealing with such a devastating flood. We're also mindful, Father, of our brothers and sisters in western North Carolina who are still dealing with the ravages of the flood from last year, and pray that your peace will guide their hearts and guard their hearts, and that the people who have been impacted by these disasters will find some rest and some assurance in your loving and graceful arms. We pray for each of our commissioners here tonight, Father. We thank you for their investment in the county. We pray, Lord, that you will bless them and their families, that you would return the time to them manyfold in many different ways. And tonight, Lord, we just give you this time and we give you ourselves, and we thank you for letting us be in this place in the greatest country that the world has ever seen. God bless America, Father, and we thank you for this time in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Vic. Okay, that's item 1. Item 2 is ethics awareness and conflicts of interest reminder from our attorney.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Pursuant to GS 153A-44, a commissioner has a duty to vote on matters coming before the board, but may be excused from voting on issues involving the commissioner's own financial interest, official conduct, or on matters on which the commissioner is prohibited from voting under GS 14-234 or 160D-109. In accordance with Chapter 2, Division 3 of the Currituck County Code of Ordinances, it is the duty of every commissioner to avoid both conflicts of interest and appearances of conflict. Does any commissioner have any known conflict of interest or appearance of conflict with respect to any matters coming before the Board of Commissioners in this meeting? If so, please identify the conflict or appearance of conflict.
Hearing none, we'll move on next to item 3, approval of agenda. Do we have a motion for approval?
Move for approval.
Second. Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is public comment. I'll open the public comment period this time. I have no one signed up for public comment. Is there anyone that didn't sign up? Seeing none, I'll close public comment and move on to our legislative hearings. Our first item is PB 25-11, James Eaton Warehouse Limited Access request to amend the Unified Development Ordinance to establish a new use type warehouse storage and distribution with limited access in the light industrial and heavy industrial districts and establish use-specific standards. Ms. Turner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening to the board. This is a text amendment sponsored by Mr. James Eaton of Just for the Beach, which is a beach rental company that serves Corolla as well as some other areas of the beach. And Mr. Eaton came in to discuss this using a particular piece of property that's zone industrial, and the use type that he was proposing was warehouse. And our ordinance, if you have looked through the staff report, there's a lot of language in here with respect to the heavy industrial and light industrial districts and their purposes, and then there's a use category of warehouse and freight movement, and then there are some use types within that which are basically warehousing, distribution, or warehousing storage uses. When you're reading through that, though, there's really not any differentiation between a type of use that would frequently involve loading and unloading of large vehicles, such as tractor trailers and semis, which typically require like loading docks, forklifts, etc. Those are the activities that may produce noise and be a nuisance to adjacent residential uses. And so there's currently no limit to the size of the trucks or the buildings for those particular uses, nor is there a limit on the number of trips per day. And that's why in the ordinance there is currently a requirement that the use must be set back 500 feet from residential districts. Turns out that the property that Mr. Eaton would like to do this use on is within 500 feet of a residential district. And in speaking with our planning staff, we felt that there was potential for another use type that would be less intensive than a typical warehouse that you would see semis going in and out of. So we worked with Mr. Eaton to prepare this text amendment, and I'll go through that now. Firstly is to add that new use type of warehouse, storage, and distribution limited access, and allow that in the light industrial and heavy industrial districts, as well as planned developments, subject to additional standards. And here on this sheet are 4 additional standards that were proposed by the applicant and agreed upon with staff, and then 2 more that we feel like the planning board did a really good job of identifying some other concerns that may want to be addressed with this amendment, and so we've incorporated that here. So you'll see that firstly, the use shall be limited to straight trucks for deliveries and pickups and shall not exceed 20 trips per day. We work with Mr. Eaton on that language. Semi trucks and tractor trailers are prohibited. The total floor area of all buildings shall not exceed 10,000 square feet. On-site manufacturing and hazardous material storage are prohibited. So those were the original conditions proposed. And then at the planning board, there was some concern about being located too close to a residential dwelling within a district. And so it was suggested to have a 100-foot setback. And so that's what the planning board recommended and approved. But in speaking with Mr. Eaton after that planning board hearing, he was concerned because there's actually an adjacent house in a heavy industrial zoning district, which would be a non-conforming structure, but just wanted to make sure that that wasn't something that would tie him up at his particular property. And so staff felt that it was reasonable to go ahead and add that dwelling that it has to be set back from would be also in a residential district. So we've added that language here for your consideration. And then the lastly, that the use shall not exceed 35 feet in height in the heavy industrial district. HI district currently has a maximum height of 65. We thought that was an excellent catch also by the planning board to really keep this as small scale as it's really intended. Then there's just adding some parking standards, and really this is driven by the particular use, so we'll get information from the individual applicants based on their business model to determine how much parking would be required. And then we're proposing the definitions of this new use type as well as trip, so we're all on the same page about what that means, as well as a straight truck, which is generally just a smaller truck. I do have some zoning maps here. If there were any questions about where those industrial zones are, I'll actually go back and you can see this is the Moyoc area right at the line. There's some industrial here and here. And then down in like the Windchaser area, of course, around the county facility, in, Maple, Barco area. And then down in the southern end of the county, you can see some of the industrial parks we have here. There's not much area that's adjacent to residential district that we currently have. You're, of course, familiar with the text amendment review standards of the ordinance, and the planning board and staff recommend approval of the request with the changes I previously mentioned, and staff feels that it's consistent with the ordinance as well as the land use plan, including land use goal 1, which is to encourage development to occur at densities appropriate for their location. Land use policy 2, to continue to prohibit incompatible or poorly planned commercial development near residential areas or encroachment near residential areas. Land use goal 3, to support new and existing commercial developments that adhere to quality, community appearance standards. And economic development goal 1, to support the retention and expansion of existing business and promote development of new businesses. And so, and you can see here that this has the two changes that the planning board requested to be added, as well as the staff suggested edit. And I'd be happy to answer any questions the board has at this time.
Any questions?
I have one. I'm reading the applicant presentation on the building size as well as on the, I mean, like, if he had a forklift that's battery powered, I mean, I'm not saying that he had to have one, but like, are we saying he can't have a forklift? Or is he saying he doesn't need one? I mean, what if he had like a pallet of,
Yeah, he's not saying he doesn't need one, and forklifts aren't prohibited by this amendment that I'm aware of.
okay, I mean, I just saw in the presentation, no forklifts or palletized storage. So I mean, like, if he needed one to take off 12 kayaks that came on a big pallet, I mean, he could have that.
I don't know if this is more for, he's got 12 kayaks, he wants a warehouse to put them.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, like, say he got 12 new ones and they all, I mean, I'm just saying where I saw in his presentation, I was reading through and it said no. So I mean, like, we're not saying he couldn't buy a forklift if he needed one to stack some stuff up higher in the building.
Yeah, there's no prohibition on
Okay.
forklifts in the text.
All right.
Well, in it does say no use of forklifts or palletized storage. Staff will manually handle items.
It does?
Yeah.
Under
Number
Section 3.
Yeah, but that's what he said he was
That's what
going
he
to
said.
do.
Under
That's
section,
not the text amendment.
We're not.
Okay.
under section 3 where? I'm confused.
Page
Okay.
7 of,
It's in
Oh,
the-
this is what he said at the
applicant,
planning board.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
not the ordinance amendment.
That's not a.
Sorry.
that's
yeah, I
what
just,
he
that was
said.
something that jumped out to, that was just something that jumped out to me and I just was like, I didn't know if that was something like y'all had met with him and said, hey, we need to do. So like, if he wants to buy a forklift, he can have a forklift.
Yes, provided he's meeting the rest of this, these standards for that particular use type. Yes.
Okay.
Right.
It
Anyone
just
else?
jumped out.
I have a quick question. It says no manufacturing. Is that in all light industrial or is that just in this case here?
That's for this particular use type.
Okay, because I was like, I wouldn't think we'd tie our hands with no manufacturing in light industrial. It's just this particular part of the text.
Right, and it's not
Okay.
just light industrial. This applies to light or heavy
Right,
industrial, and
right.
this particular use, which is a pared down type of warehouse distribution and
Got
storage.
it. I just want a clarification. Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else?
So is this like we're creating a third type of industrial?
No, it's not creating a type of industrial. It's a use type that's under the category of warehouse and freight movement.
Okay.
So there's currently just a very general warehouse and freight moving distribution, warehouse and freight moving storage. And as I mentioned at the very beginning, there's no, scale or scope or number of trips or anything related to that. So it would encompass types of businesses that may have impact on adjacent properties,
Just a
which is
sub-
why,
A subsection of what's allowed in the warehouse.
Jeannie, would they have to get a special use permit to do any of this?
it's allowed with a zoning permit.
Okay.
Yeah.
A zoning
Site plan
permit.
review.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, that's all I needed to know.
Staff will verify they're meeting all the requirements of the
All right,
ordinance.
thank you.
All right. Anything else?
So the big change here is the distance from residential.
For a limited type of use, yes. A limited type of warehouse and distribution use, yes. So instead of 500 feet from a residential district, it's 100 feet from a residential dwelling in a residential district.
If you're 500 foot, you can have tractor trailers and everything coming in there. This is just allowing him to use like box trucks
And
and pickup trucks to come in and out.
Right, and limiting the trips per day.
Yeah, so, all right, any other questions? Hearing none, I'm going to open the public hearing. I have no one signed up to speak. Is there anyone who wishes to speak that didn't sign up? Hearing none, I'm going to close the public hearing and ask the board for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve PB 2511 James Eaton text amendment because the request is consistent. Let me go back. With the planning board suggested conditions and applicant requested edit as presented by the staff, including the use shall not be located within 100 feet of a residential dwelling unit within a residential district, and the use in heavy industrial shall not exceed 25 feet in height.
35.
35 feet in height. because the request is consistent with the goals and objectives and policies of the Imagine Currituck 2040 Vision Plan and the UDO, including Land Use Goals 1 and 3, Land Use Policy 2.2, and Economic Development Goal 1.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
We have a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Turner. Next item is PB 25-06, Currituck County Minor Subdivisions. Request to amend the Unified Development Ordinance to allow additional minor subdivision lots and revise minor subdivision standards. I think that's you again.
All right, so as you're aware, we've met a few times to discuss the board requested changes to the minor subdivision ordinance. We had a work session in February 26th, and again in on June 2nd of this year. And just real general, there's a few types of subdivisions. There's your no review subdivision, which is that greater than 10 acre exemption. Combination of existing parcels, or an estate division, which is a no review. A minor, which is currently 3 or fewer lots from the parent parcel as it existed on April 2nd, 1989. Then we have the family subdivision, which is a type of minor that currently allows 5 or fewer lots from the parent parcel, and that has that 10-year reset date. So it's not the 89 date, it's the year of the prior 5 lots. And then anything else is a major subdivision. And we talked about the North Carolina Fire Code, and that subdivisions involving 3 or more lots are subject to that code and require a fire access road with a turnaround and fire flow, which could be hydrants or other sources, generally a pond. So just a little history of where we got to where we are, because it's kind of complicated what we're doing, and we're trying to make it a little easier so everyone can understand what's happening here. Previously, the minor lots were reduced from 5 to 3, which was practically 2 because of the fire code requirements. With that parent parcel date as it existed on April 2nd, 89, and 5 family lots. We prohibited the creation of minor lots on DOT streets and said that you must construct a private access street. We currently require existing driveways to be removed if that doesn't become the private access street. Subdivisions with significant infrastructure were not permitted as minor, and that included a road that's installed to DOT standards, a fire hydrant, or a fire pond. Currently, minor lots in ag are required to be 3 acres unless there's a county water connection, and minor lots in the SFM, single-family residential mainland, must connect to county water currently. So if you don't have county water in SFM currently, you can't do a minor subdivision. You could potentially do a family, but not a minor. So these are the changes that we're going to be reviewing tonight, which is to increase the number of minor subdivision lots from 3 to 5, allow some of those lots to front DOT streets, provide some access control along those major arterials and restricted access streets to prevent a lot of lot stripping out on those streets. Require that new streets that serve more than 2 lots meet the fire code. Allow minor subdivisions in ag and SFM with 40,000 square foot lots with no county water connection. Take out the provision that requires the existing driveway to be removed if it doesn't become the private access street. And then there is this alternative that staff did leave into the ordinance, which is to allow 1 flag lot, a maximum of 1 flag lot per parent parcel through the minor subdivision process. Reason being is there's certain properties that have certain configurations where it makes sense that you could get potentially 2 lots by allowing a flag lot. So we just felt like it was allowing a little more flexibility, which we thought was what the board would like to see here with these minor subdivisions. Those are just your major arterial and restricted access streets in case we want to look at those. So here's the ordinance amendments. So a minor subdivision is going to be a subdivision that consists of the division of land into 5 or fewer lots, including the residual parcel that's less than 10 acres, that does not constitute a no-review subdivision. And then we're defining a family subdivision as a type of minor subdivision that allows additional lots where those lots are conveyed to family members within 2 degrees of kinship, subject to all the review standards. The procedure here for minor subdivisions, we're just adding a little clarifying language here that the initial conveyance of a lot in a family subdivision there in 3 to a non-family member is a violation of this ordinance. I know staff gets questions about this from time to time, and having something that we can reference that's clear, that says that at least has to initially convey to that family member is helpful for everyone involved to understand, because we do get that question, well, how long do I have to keep this lot? Or what if
'Cause
it
if they
doesn't go
sold
to
it-
that person?
Yeah, if they
Yeah.
gave it to them and they,
Right. Here are the general standard for minor subdivision, that it complies with the dimensional standards of the ordinance, community form standards, that's where the driveway access requirements are, maximum accesses, and then also the required infrastructure section, which is where the street standards are. It's gonna result in no more than 5 lots, and that the parent parcel and the resultant lots front an existing DOT street or a private access street. That's for minors. No more than 3 access points from the parent parcel, including driveways or public streets, may be created along major arterial or restricted access streets. So that's that access control there. So if you're not on a major arterial or restricted access street, you can have more than the 3 access points, provided you conform to the ordinance requirements for separation. That it does not create a private access street serving more than 5 lots. Continuing that to require that the private access street has to connect to a DOT street. And then again, streets that serve more than 2 lots need to meet fire code. Additional clarification in the family subdivision section, that the lots shall be initially conveyed to family members within 2 degrees of kinship. And we added the example of parent in there because it was child, grandchild. We wanted to make sure that people understood that it doesn't have to go just to an heir. Let's see here. Continuing with the no more than 5 lots, continuing with the parent parcel reset. Number 4 here is kind of a big change, that private access streets or easements serving family lots may connect to shall connect to a DOT street, and that newly created and existing easements shall be improved to meet private access street standards, and documentation of the permanent and non-exclusive easements shall be provided to the county, just making sure that if you're creating lots on an easement that you have the authority to do so. And again, for family subdivision lots, we're not changing the fact that principal uses are limited to single-family dwellings. This is the dimensional standards for the agricultural zoning district, so this is where we're implementing the change that the lots, minor and family subdivision lots shall be at least 40,000 square feet in area, and we're striking through the water supply requirements here. And then we discussed the lot depth not exceeding 4 times the width, that you may have a property that you just want to split in the middle, and that might make that difficult to do, and these are minor subdivisions. This is the SFM dimensional standards, and here we're just striking through the lot depth requirement. The street standards section, private access streets, just clarifying what a private access street is and what's required to construct those, minimum street width, as well as allowing, we talked about for family subdivisions that currently the ordinance has that 10-year reset date, but only 1 private access street for parent parcel. So this allows additional private access streets. We also looked at, this is the current design of the road of a private access street, and you can see that, actually I think this is the updated one. Yeah, this is the updated design. On a prior, currently the ordinance requires a 15-foot easement on either side, but that seemed to be not necessary to construct the street and have your drainage. So we suggested reducing those easement sizes down. And speaking with Jason Littoral, our planner, our senior planner who does lots of these minor reviews. This is not typically the road that's chosen. Normally, they choose this configuration of the road. This also has a 15-foot easement currently, and so we're taking that down to 10. You can see the road is to be sloped to one side and then captured in a swale. And we're going to add this language for private access streets that they shall provide adjacent swales or ditches to capture runoff from the street, and that existing swales or ditches may be used to capture runoff if the owner demonstrates the legal authority to drain to the existing swale or ditch. And here's the construction standards for that. Because the way that this cross-section comes across in the ordinance, it's like you can't, like if there's an existing ditch there, you can't use it. But we wanted to have the ability that if you had the authority to use it, that you could, and you didn't have to put a swale on the other side. The street width section, this is, there's really no changes here. This is gonna stay applicable to minor and family subdivisions. This is the water supply and the required infrastructure section that is gonna carve out that minor subdivisions in the ag are an exception to a type of lot that has to be served by county water again. And that same for D, just clarifying that only new major subdivisions located in ag have to be connected by county water. This is the section regarding family subdivision lots that had this language that family subdivision lots are not required to front onto a public or private street, and we discussed whether you wanted to consider allowing family lots on easements, and that was the direction that was given. So we were adding this language to clarify that the easements created, that lots can be created on easements, family lots only, but that you still have to improve the street to the construction standards. These are some minor edits to existing definitions of private access street, major subdivision, and minor subdivision. Then in chapter 10, this is the section regarding flag lots, that to allow a maximum of 1 flag lot per parent parcel as a minor subdivision. So we've carved out that exception here if the board would like to approve this language to allow a maximum of 1 flag lot. And then we've made some changes to the way flag lots are defined because it didn't really make sense. And this clarifies it, what a flag lot is, and a regularly shaped lot where the buildable portion of the lot is connected to its street frontage by an arm. If you can see, the strike-through language here was that it was where access is obtained by a narrow private right-of-way, which is not what it is at all. It's part of the lot. And then we've added this language that that the minimum frontage of a flag lot, which doesn't currently exist, would need to be 20 feet, just for clarity. This is just a picture of the lot types from the ordinance, and you can see the flag lot here. Again, there's the review standards for text amendments. The planning board and staff recommend approval, subject to the suggested consistency statement that the text amendment is consistent with the goals and policies of the land use plan, including land use goal 1. And I'd be happy to answer any questions at this time.
All right. Any questions for Ms. Turner?
So it says in the original or at the beginning, it says subdivision that consists of the division of land into 5 or fewer lots, including the residential parcel or tracts of land less than 10 acres. So if it's more than 10 acres, it doesn't count against the 5?
That's exempt. That's greater than 10-acre lot is exempt by state statute.
Okay, but if we're talking about for the purposes of subdividing, so if I have 100 acres and so effectively I could cut it into 6 lots instead of 5.
If you had 100 acres,
So it says, including the residential parcel or tracts of less than 10 acres.
yes.
So if the parent parcel results in 9 acres, that counts as one of the divisions. If it's more than 10 acres, does it no longer count as one of the 5?
That's correct.
So you could have 6.
So you
if
could
had
have
100.
6.
Or if you had,
If you had 100 acres, you could have more than that.
yeah,
Well, not for a minor. Or, okay,
10 a- but,
correct.
But your lots that are greater than 10 acres are exempt.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, this is only 40,000 square foot.
Yep. The other question I had was flag lots. I gotta scroll down and find the definition now.
35. Page 35.
Thank you. I was like, no, it said 20. So we're defining a flag lot as a lot with the flag pole of less than, of 20 foot or less.
Or the arm part, 20 feet.
Well, the definitions in 8F.
It shall maintain at least
Yeah.
20 feet of lot frontage.
So at what point does an irregular shaped lot not become a flag lot? I'm concerned with not putting a restriction there.
Well, there's a different frontage requirement.
Okay. What is the frontage requirement?
It's a minimum of 35 feet for a regular
Okay.
lot.
So if somebody made it a 40-foot right of way, essentially, it's no longer a flag lot.
If they made it a right of way, it wouldn't be a flag
Well,
lot.
okay. If it has 36 foot of street frontage, it's no longer a flag lot.
Depends. Depends if it meets the lot width back at the setback. So there's a couple different things that go along with how you determine a lot shape and whether it meets the dimensional requirements. So it would depend on, does it meet the required minimum lot width at the setback?
Okay.
So most likely, there's no way to tell, but I would say that it probably wouldn't.
Okay.
You could have a 35-foot wide flag lot, or you could have a 35-foot wide lot that met the building requirements at the setback, where you measure it. So there's lot width and lot frontage.
Okay.
Lot
I'm-
width is
I'm s-
measured at the front setback.
Okay.
You mentioned in here, or not just mentioned, it's in here that you can only have one flag lot.
For a minor subdivision,
Okay.
which is going to include family subdivision.
But currently, you can have more than one?
No, you can't have any.
None. So we're
The
just,
only way you can currently have a flag lot is if you're doing at least 20 lots.
so now you're going to allow one
One.
in this situation. I was looking at the board discussion and saw concern over the lot size, the 40,000 square feet for well and septic use. And I talked with you about that earlier, like Corova's having problems running out of water. Of course, they're much smaller size lots, but down the county well, not just down the county, backwoods in Moyock depends on wells. So do we need to increase the lot size to 1 acre? Would that help?
It just seems to me complicated.
It's- I mean,
40,000 versus,
43,560.
okay, so,
It's less than 10% of an acre that you would be
Currituck
increasing.
County has for years called 40,000 square foot a Currituck acre. And that's the way all the lots pretty much throughout the county have been developed over the years, is 40,000 square foot. So we haven't had any problems I'm aware of with septic or water, but increasing it just adds another complication to it versus just leaving everything like it is, 40,000. It also, for if you make the lot so large for people that are trying to do a small subdivision for their children or whatever, they may cost them a lot if they're trying to do something. So for me, I just like to keep it simple.
Well, if you're only allowing 5 lots, is that right, in a family subdivision?
Right, and let's keep in mind, that's a maximum of 5. You may not be able to design a 5-lot minor,
Right.
right? So that's a maximum. I mean, some people may not want to hit fire requirements, fire protection, which
Well,
is more than
Everybody talks about big lots, but I've watched meetings over the years, people coming up talking about big lots. A lot of them live on 20,000 square foot lots and want to change it to 1 acre lots or 40,000 square foot lots. Me personally, I believe the market determines how big somebody's lot is. I could care less how big your yard is. If you want to mow a small yard, you mow a small yard. You control growth through density, not lot size. You can take all the lots and move them over in a little corner and not have any more homes than you would if you spread them out. But by doing that, you preserve the rural feel of the county because they can still farm that extra land over there. It can be used for recreational purposes. So I am not a fan of making everything fit the whole tract of land. I'd rather it be compacted. It costs less to provide services. And if people want a small lot, let them have a small lot. Who am I to tell somebody how big their lot has to be? So I'm just, I guess it's not really what we're talking about now, but when you're constructing a subdivision, people want open space and they want to see the farmers out there farming and everything. And if we make them spread everything out on the whole property, you're becoming what we say we don't want. And so to me, again, this is just a commentary, maybe not has nothing to do with this, but I don't care what size somebody's lot is. If it'll support the sewer and the water and the health department approves it, more power to them. I had to mow my mother's yard, and she's on a 1/2 acre lot, and I was tickled to death that it wasn't a full acre. So,
Well, some people think that, spreading it out keeps their rural flavor, more so, opposite of what you're saying, but we're never going to please
If you
everybody.
spread it out, you lose the open space.
Yeah, you do
Right.
lose the open space, but you don't have houses on top of one another.
but if that's how somebody wants to design their subdivision, people want to buy it, who am I to tell them they can't do it? It's none of my business. As long as it meets the codes and it's safe and everything, I'm not gonna tell somebody how big their house or their lot has to be. And it does create more open space if you cluster the homes closer together and you can continue farming the open space and it keeps the rural feel. So, but anyways, that's a difference of people's opinions, and I have one, everybody else does, and really has nothing to do with what we're discussing right now, so.
The other question I had was, the planning board's discussion about the school impact from the increased lot splits. Staff indicated school planning does not currently include minor and family lots.
Is that in the?
That's in the notes.
The notes, yeah.
Page 19.
What I indicated was that when we're looking at that committed capacity number that we're tracking, that includes like the subdivisions and major rezonings that the board's approved. It doesn't include minor and family, but we will track minor and family lots, so we can understand overall, where the students are coming from. But it's not I think the question is more geared towards, are you asking if there's a review of capacity of schools prior to a minor or family? No, there's not.
Okay.
I mean, like I said, it's 5 lots, so I mean, you're getting, obviously you can't get half a kid, but you're getting, in some of them, maybe one child, maybe,
Yeah, it's the, trying to remember what the rate, I know it's 0.08 for middle school. So, I mean, you may not even get a kid out of five lots. A child.
All right, any more questions?
No.
Hearing none, I'm gonna open the public hearing. We have Beth Thomas signed up to speak. Ms. Thomas, if you could give your name and address and come forward.
My name is Beth Thomas. I live at 122 Myrtle Street in Jarvisburg. I just want to say I'm in favor of this. I'm a realtor, so I know that, we need some houses, especially in the southern end of the county. And I like that because I have a particular parcel that a friend of mine and I've been trying to work on, and to have anything more, it's zoned ag right now. Well, to have it rezoned, then you have to have county water on it. Well, there's not even county water run down the state-maintained road that this is off of, and that would be at our expense. And that's just, first of all, that doesn't make sense to me. That we should have to, down a state-maintained road, we should have to run the county water. From that road back, sure. But anyways, I'm just in, this way you could, and you don't have to have the DOT road where you would now for more than 2 to 3 lots. So, anyways, that's about it. I'm in favor of it.
Did
And I
you-
appreciate you all taking this up.
I don't think you gave us your address for the record.
I did.
I'm getting senile.
She lives on Myrtle Street.
Yes.
Myrtle Street.
122
Jarvisburg.
Myrtle Street.
You got it.
All right, Miss Beth, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Thank you. Don't have anyone else signed up. Is there anyone that didn't sign up? Hearing none, I'm gonna close the public hearing, ask the board for a motion.
May I just make one statement? I want to just correct what I said. 'Cause
Yes,
I
yes.
don't want to give bad information. So just on the student
good
generation
one.
numbers for the Tischler study, the factor for elementary school students is 0.25. So if it was 5 lots, that would result in 1.25 or potentially 1 elementary school child. The factors for middle and high school will not result in a full child.
Okay,
Thank you, Judy.
thank you.
That never worked. Why is it not the same for all?
Need a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve PB 2506, Currituck County Text Amendment, because the request is in conformance with the goals, objectives, and policies of the Imagine Currituck 2040 Vision Plan and the UDO, including Land Use Goal 1.
I have a motion for approval.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
1 no.
Yep.
Motion carries. Next item, new business, resolution opposing any amendment restricting shrimp trawling in coastal waters. County manager, you want to tell us all about that?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a resolution that you all asked us to draft following House Bill 442. And that bill was not successful in the General Assembly. We submitted a letter to our delegation opposing House Bill 442, and we are following up with this resolution this evening for your consideration in opposition to any amendment that would impact shrimp trawling.
And just for the record, we did not meet before the General Assembly took this up, but we did send a strongly worded letter in opposition to this, and we agreed that we needed to put this resolution to make it a official resolution in opposition to it. And the Senate passed it, and of course, our Senator Hannig was one of the very few that voted in opposition to it, thank goodness. And the North Carolina House of Representatives, they did not take it up, but before anybody drinks their champagne and pops the corks, that don't mean it's dead. It just means it carries over to the next session. So don't get lulled into complacency and think it's over with, because they will be plotting and scheming on how to get this done at the next legislative session. And they'll have a year to instruct their staff on how to sneak it into a bill or do whatever they need to do. So everybody that's in opposition to this, you need to stay engaged and a part of what's going on here, because it will come back, just like the amendments where they were trying to take local government's authority away on rezonings and
Legislative hearings.
legislative hearings and density. So they have not stopped. They just took a break. So we need a motion for approval.
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 2. Before we move to item 2, I received a letter from Chairman Woodard from the Dare County Commissioners. He has proposed something that we used to have years ago. It was the 18 CAMA counties used to have a little working group where we worked together to oppose things that would harm the coastal communities, because we don't have any votes. So they don't really care what they do to us in Raleigh. So he has proposed that we reform that group and that it works on coastal fishing regulations. I sent an email back and told him I was pretty sure our board would be in favor of joining that group. And I think we need to go on record tonight to let them know that we would be in favor of joining that group. And they would like to have a representative from our board. Well, with Commissioner Rose's background being on CAMA at one time, marine fisheries, and having a seafood business, I think certainly she would be a great candidate for our representative on that working group. And of course, any of us could participate as we want to. But I would just ask the board to vote in the affirmative that we would like to be a part of that, and then that we would certainly like Ms. Rose to represent us on that board.
Would it be limited to fishing regulations or anything else that would affect the?
Well, right now, and it's just a working group, has no authority. All it is a lobbying group, I guess. They're starting out working on fishing regulations and things such as that, because there is a push to eliminate commercial fishermen, your neighbors, not the big trawlers, because they have money, they can pay their way through, but the little folks that we all know, they are trying to put them out of business through various regulations, and that's going to be the initial focus, but I'm sure it could develop into other things of interest for the coastal communities.
It's not just putting the commercial fishermen out, because there's fish houses and there's people who make crab pots and there's restaurants that, in the coastal communities that serve the seafood to the tourist. So it's really a trickle-down effect.
Yes.
And I did go to Raleigh when they had this big day, and I do want to add to your comments about Senator Hannig. He did fight as hard as he could, and then when it got to the House, they went into caucus, and our Representative Ed Goodwin helped lead that charge so that it never left caucus. It didn't get to vote on the House floor, but that group, it had to be about 1,000 people. They organized within a week. They had all sorts of information set up on tables in front of the legislative building. They had T-shirts for everybody to wear, which I brought one I'll show you later. They had stickers. They had fresh shrimp for people that they were giving away. They all behaved very nicely. They spoke intelligently, as they are very intelligent people. And it was really something to see what they did in a week's time and made a difference.
Yeah, the state was trying to pay money for people to not be in business.
Right.
And I mean, it's just, they should be embarrassed by themselves on some of the stuff that they put time and effort towards, versus looking out for the people that are out there working, trying to make a living, feed their family, and provide a service.
And there's a concern, we don't have shrimp trawling in the Currituck Sound, but we do have commercial fishermen. And it's, if they go after this and they get it, what's next? Crabbing is already, marine fisheries.
Right
Yeah,
now.
that's on the radar. Marine fisheries they talked about doing that in the spring. I talked with the chairman of the Marine Fisheries Commission. He said he was going to put it off to August and then November. So that's still on the radar.
Well, just another thing, there was a particular gentleman, a scientist that worked for the marine fisheries, and he's worked for years to try to, I'll just say, not in the best interest of our local commercial fishermen. Well, he retired. I think Governor McCrory retired him.
Yeah, that's right.
And then he went to work for a recreational fishing group.
Yeah.
And he's working just as diligently now as he did before to try to end commercial fishing for, and I'm just going to say our local folks, but the foreign trawlers, you can see them off the coast just raping, pillaging, and stealing. But the problem is our local guys trying to feed their families and give us fresh local seafood. That's who they're after. So, I mean, it's just well say it like it is.
There was also that day a retired biologist from marine fisheries, and she went with Ed Goodwin and the others for this press conference, and she had her data that said there's no problem.
Right.
They've done all this gear implementation to prevent what they are alleging that's happening. And she said, no, this data does not show it. And the General Assembly spent $1 million 3 years ago to have this study done. The study was due out the 30th of June. They passed all this days before. The study came out and did not show that they needed to stop shrimp trawling.
That's why they try to do it beforehand.
That's right.
They did.
Data ain't gonna show what I want. I'm gonna try to do it before the data.
They did.
So I would just, again, I bring this before the board, number one, for us to agree that we want to be a part of that. And then number two, if we would like for Ms. Rose to represent us, I would like a motion so that our clerk can inform Dare County's clerk that we're on board officially and we have our representative.
I'll move for approval on that.
I second.
We have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you. I'm sorry to go off the agenda there, but that was the perfect place. Item 2, lease agreement, enterprise fleet management. That would be the manager.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before you this evening, we have consideration of a lease agreement with Enterprise Fleet Management. We brought this to you during the budget process and are looking to lease county vehicles rather than purchase them outright. The purpose behind that is to increase our fuel efficiency and also to reduce our maintenance cost and hopefully over a period of time, reduce our expense associated with vehicles.
I believe it was projected to save like 1.3 or $6 million.
It will depend on the number of vehicles that we end up leasing over that period of time, but yes, a significant savings over a 10-year period.
And we're going to be reducing the number of vehicles we have, correct?
That's correct.
All right, that's what I wanted to hear. All right, any questions for the manager? She presented all this to us. We all sat in on the work session. Does anyone have questions?
No, I'm glad, like you said, reducing vehicles. I know the county on Auctions International, we've gotten rid of, because I know a couple people that purchased some vehicles, so we've gotten a bunch of them placed on there. I know the Jeeps that used to be beach duty vehicles are on there, and they've been sitting for a while, so I'm glad they're leaving.
So you're making a motion for approval?
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion for approval. We have a second?
I'll second it.
Second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item 3, travel approval for Commissioner Rose to attend UNC School of Government Training in Asheville on July 23rd, 2025, and she'll be training on how to work with advisory boards and committees.
Move for approval.
We have a motion for approval.
Second.
Second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item 4 is consent agenda. Have a motion for approval.
So moved.
Have a
Second.
motion, second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, Commissioners' report, Mr. McCord.
Just got a couple things. Let me find my notes. I didn't know I was going first. Sandra Hill, who worked for the county 30 plus, keyword plus years. Anybody that would do more than 30, but like I said, Sandra was dedicated, so I wish her well and her congratulations. She's done a lot for the county, as well as she was brutal to deal with. I do grants for the county, and I would say that if Sandra was sitting here. So like, I mean, but she did a lot to help people, but like there's checks and balances. I wish her well in her retirement, and she'll be missed. I mean, like I said, she had a wealth of knowledge. Like sometimes we would clash, but you know, she did a good job. So like I said, I wish her luck, and hopefully her life will be a little less stressful and less headaches. The county lost, I just wanted to bring this up, Louise Harrell passed roughly 2 weeks ago, the owner of Southland. At one time, she was in the top 3 of employers in the county. I know she still probably was in the top 10, even with all the businesses in Corolla. It's weird to walk into Southland, support your local businesses. You you know, and her not be in there because she was, even though she was in her 70s, she was part of that store
Always
all
there.
the time,
Yep.
anywhere. So prayers for her family and for Southland. Like I said, I know there's a something this Saturday for her, which, you know, follow social media. I think there's some stuff that their family's doing, but like I said, a celebration of life is Saturday, I know, and then there's some private stuff as well. But roads are busy, traffic's busy. July 4th was a success. The county did a great job on the event. It was packed. Everybody was smiling. Everybody was happy. That don't happen very often, but it did. At the July 4th, the fireworks in the Wellhead Park was a nice event. It was hot, but it wasn't like 100 plus. And they had the food vendors were packed. I mean, the entire time. So good job to tourism, Parks and Rec, public safety, everybody involved. The county did a really nice job on that event, and it wasn't just tourists. There was tons of locals. There was tons of boats out there enjoying it. So nice event. It's like I said, it's awesome to work 12 hours on a holiday on your day off, but it comes with the job, right? But that's it for me. Like I said, stay hydrated. It's hot. We're gonna have some more hot days. The summer just started, and keep on keeping on, as Joe Dirt would say, I guess. That's it for me.
Thank you, Mr. McCord. Mr. Angel?
So I want to give a shout out to Public Works. I know that they've been out to Corova multiple times to work on the trash situation out there. If you are still angry about the trash situation, we are making headway. Changes will be coming. On top of that, the solid waste ordinance, I would like to get a work session together to talk about reworking that. I know the Corova piece I emailed originally a month or so ago about changing it from required number of trash cans. Because if you own a house in Corolla and it's you and your significant other, you're required to have 4 95-gallon trash cans, because that's what the store or the trash company over there uses. They use 95-gallon trash cans. But based on the way the ordinance is written, they're required to have 4 trash cans. They only have 95 gallons as an option, so therefore they have to have 4, which is a little silly for 2 retirees. So I'd also like to look at possibilities of reworking the trash ordinance in the off-road to include restrictions on types of trash cans. Maybe the flip-top lids will be better suited up there to keep horses and varmints out. I was also emailed about having a work session, or maybe not necessarily a work session, but to get together with the horse tour companies, some reps from there, some reps from the community, and try to find a more amenable, happy point between the two. Try to work some things out there. So, other than that, happy birthday, America. That's all I got.
All right. Ms. Rose?
I too would like to congratulate Sandra Hill on her many years of service, and also Sheila Gregory. She retired.
Forgot about Sheila.
And both of these ladies, you know, we were in high school together. So I've known them a long, long time. They've contributed so much to their community, their churches. They've raised their families here and gave back so much to our county. So thank you both, Sheila and Sandra, and congratulations. I hope you enjoy your retirement. I had a visitor last week, or our county had a visitor. Mr. Representative Ed Goodwin came, and we talked a lot about what's going on in the county. I took him and showed him the new school being constructed, that the state would not give us any money to help us pay for that because of our tier situation, correct? Hopefully we can get that tier situation straight. And we have many boards in the county, advisory boards and boards such as social services, Parks and Rec. There's many, and I guess we have a commissioner on each of those boards, do we?
Not all boards have
Not
a
all boards,
commission.
but several. And all of these meetings are open to the public, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so for our citizens, if you're not serving on a board and you want to know what's going on or you have suggestions, the boards are open to the public, the meetings. And if you'd like to serve on a board, you can contact our clerk, Mrs. Leanne Walton, and she will tell you where you can find the application online, or you can get a paper one here at the courthouse. And that's it for me.
All right, one last thing, Mr. Angel.
I want to congratulate the folks over at Waves. They're supposed to have their grand opening for their school on Friday, so that's a pretty big accomplishment for those folks.
Mr. Chairman, can I say one thing as well? Congrats to Sheila Gregory retiring. Just because you retired, and if she's watching, you still have to help me with the Christmas
parade.
parade. I'll be picking you up, so don't think you're off the hook.
All right, Ms. Jarvis.
Thank you. I'd also like to congratulate Sheila and Sandra on their retirements. Your shoes will be very hard to fill, and we thank you for your service. I'd also like to thank all the staff and public safety that made the 4th of July such a success. Traffic's been a beast for the whole week, but we are appreciative of all the visitors that have come here to spend their 4th of July because we know there's a lot of choices. And I look forward to next year when we celebrate the 250th anniversary of this great nation and all the celebrations that are in the works for that. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess I would be lacking if I didn't congratulate Sheila and Sandra. Of course, Sandra and I are Griggs alumni. We graduated together. Something is not computing. She's retiring and I'm still working. Something's not right here. But congratulations to her. I have two things. Number one, I rode through Moyock and I was looking around, and that area between the railroad tracks and the roads is atrocious. Every once in a while, we have to get on the railroad company to ask them to please make our community look decent. And it's time for us to do that again. I don't know if it's DOT gets them to clean up those ditches or if it's Currituck County that does it. But those ditches do not add anything to the flavor of Currituck County. And I would ask that we get them to clean those ditches up and to present us a regular maintenance schedule to where they'll stop looking so bad. The next thing is traffic. We got a new traffic light in Moyock. I got an email from a guy asking me who the idiots were on the board that put the traffic light up. I told him the idiots on the board didn't have anything to do with that. That was a different set of idiots that put the traffic light up. So anyways, we go back and forth, and there's a lot of people out in the community don't understand that the county has not one thing to do with the roads. All we can do is ask DOT, and that's Department of Transportation, to do things in the county. Well, one of the things I would like for them to do is to do a traffic study from the border to Dare County and present to us something that they can do to help alleviate some traffic. There was a talk of a bypass around Moyock years ago that never came to fruition, but it was on the DOT master plan. That's been shoved aside, but we have some serious congestion and traffic problems in this county. And as I've said before, over the years, the poor people that live here can't even get out on a weekend. You've got to turn right even if you want to go left, or vice versa, because you cannot get out. And the poor folks that pass where I live, past Coin Jock, bless their hearts. But some type of traffic study, and maybe have DOT come in and do a presentation to us about some of the things that they'd be willing to study and alleviate to help us with some of this traffic in Currituck County. It's been a long time since they've been here and made a presentation about what their plans are for the highways in Currituck County, and I think it would be a great opportunity for them to show everyone what's going on, if that's possible.
I do think the traffic light added in Moyock has caused traffic to back up further south when they're heading north.
It has.
Yeah.
But it allows
People to get out too, so it's a double-edged sword. But
Harder to get out where there's not a light is what I'm saying.
yeah, but I will tell you this, just because you got a light telling you can get out, you better stop and look both ways, because
Absolutely.
there's people running these lights And they're not just running them at 40 miles an hour, they're hitting them 70 miles an hour going through these lights when
And
they're
a lot of them are
red.
getting tickets left and right.
Yeah, so that's all I have, and with that, we'll go to the county manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No report this evening.
That's the best one you've
Hey,
given in
can I
a
ask
long time.
Can I ask one question? The sewer status in Mayock, because I'm getting commercial calls. What was our report from June?
Our first test in June was
So it shouldn't be long for North Carolina
How many more do we need to be
Yeah.
compliant?
75.
There's no set number.
yeah,
Oh, I thought we had to have 4 in a row.
They decide when you're compliant.
correct.
Well, they don't even come here a lot, very often from Raleigh.
But bringing that up would be an excellent work session for us to have in the near future to talk about not just when we're going to be compliant, but what is our overall strategy for wastewater in Moyock, Currituck? We're going to have a new plant. What are going to be the parameters? When are they going to break ground? When are the plans going to be ready? Things such as that. That would be a great work session in
Right.
the near future.
So we're actually preparing for a work session with you all in the near future to talk about the Moyock Service District and what the service area looks like. Not the service district, but the service area for Moyock Regional Wastewater Treatment Plant.
Perfect.
Are we, so I think we're 5 out of 6 this year.
We were not, so we had one test that was compliant in May and one that was not. Unfortunately, we missed, I believe, on the nitrogen.
There was something in March too, right? One thing in March.
I think in March we were compliant. In February, I can't remember. One or the other, we had one lab test that was not compliant.
But it's all like,
But our utility staff is talking with DEQ on a regular basis and
we're
keeping them
close.
informed. We are.
because everybody wants grocery store
We're
or
gonna-
some other stuff.
We're going to have a work session on that.
Good deal.
I'm glad you
Thank
brought
you.
it up because that was
I ask
something
every
I
time because I
had.
get phone calls.
Yeah. County attorney.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have a report tonight. First thing is the North Carolina Supreme Court granted the county's petition for discretionary review of the occupancy tax litigation, or at least that's what it's known as. So that is a major success for the county. And the process that will happen after that is that the county will have 30 days from the date of that filing of that order to submit a brief. And then the other side has 30 days to submit their brief, and I think we have an opportunity to submit a reply brief. And then the Supreme Court will decide if they will hear oral arguments, which more than likely they will. And that will probably take place hopefully in the fall of this year, but we'll see. We don't know an exact timeline. And then the other thing is I attended along with Commissioner Jarvis and Angie Lotman, the opioid coordinator, the recovery court in Dare County. I guess that was a couple weeks ago now. And we got to see how they did that, and it was extremely impressive. And Ms. Lotman is going to discuss that at the next opioid advisory board meeting, which will be this Thursday, I think.
And that is open to the public, to anybody who wants to come hear a full report about the recovery court and the process that it's going to take to get that up and running.
Yeah, they've
all I've
had,
got.
I know I met with talking to Judge Trevette about that. I know they had some real good, they've had some successes, and I mean, you're gonna have some, so, like I said, it's coming to Currituck, which is a good thing.
Yeah, matter of fact, they had like I think 3 or 4 Currituck cases on their docket,
Yeah,
which
they
I
have.
thought was
And
very
I know
interesting.
the sheriff and I got Angie to attend the meeting with Judge
Yeah.
Trevette, 'cause
That's
he's
what
a
led
big
to this.
advocate.
That's what
Yeah,
led to
it
this.
was a wonderful experience.
It was excellent. Thank you for bringing that up.
All right, with that, I'm going to make a motion that we recess our meeting and go into a closed session pursuant to NCGS 143-318.11A3 to consult with the county attorney and preserve the attorney-client privilege in the matter entitled EnviroLink, Inc. versus Currituck County. That's my motion.
So
Have a second?
it was her.
Discussion? Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
All right,